Hi all. I have a fond memory of another win which was in the lounge area of the hotel of Gibraltar at Gibraltar, and Gary Quillan was going over his win. It was against the 2184, and he used the expression lining up the troops, which I thought was quite amusing, as if you know, his chess pieces are this like little army he's lining up. So let's have a look at this game, how that occurred. After e4, his opponent played c6, and Gary played d4, and after d5 he took on d5, and he has the idea, I think already, that he's prepared to have an isolated d pawn later, which often, you know, gives white attacking opportunities against the black king. And in this game we see a nice rook lift later, which is one side effect of having a little bit more space and this semi-open fold to work with. You know, potentially if you get a rook to e1 later, you've got rook e3. So let's have a look how this occurred and how he was lining up his troops. So after bishop b4 here, he took on d5 again. So we see, you know, structurally, in theory, you know, this isolated pawn is a little bit controversial, a double-edged sword. He plays queen c2, and already, you know, he's going to be lining up his bishop and queen on that sensitive h7 pawn, so kind of delaying black castling. So black here actually plays h6. So that's creating, you know, a potential weakness around black's kingside later. White castled, and now after knight f6, it seems d4's under fire, but actually Gary just played bishop f4. By the way, Gary, you know, in Gibraltar he collected his 5th IM norm, and I think this year he's going to get over the 2400 mark, because in the first round he drew with Gashimov, you know, like the top seed, 27-30. And, you know, he had a fantastic Gibraltar, and later came third in the Cannes tournament in France. You know, straight after this tournament, he whizzed off to France, you know, a few days later. So I'm pretty sure this year is going to be the year he's going to become an international master. So after castles, he played rook ad1, and black played rook e8. So black's kind of got this passive position, and we see now that white now plays queen e2, so he's rearranging actually his bishop and queen for the bishop to be on b1 and the queen to be on d3, where it's going to be a bit more menacing on that h7 square. Black played bishop f8, so we see bishop b1, and this is, you know, kind of rearrangement and lining up of troops, you could say. So knight e7, so black seems to be content, you know, to get this kind of theoretically pretty blockade on the d5 square against white's isolated d4 pawn. But white with knight e5 is creating dangerous tactical pressure, like on f7, which is going to be very important soon. As we'll see, it leads to, you know, black's downfall quite rapidly. Now this bishop c1, of course the knight was attacking the bishop. Where would the bishop go? If it goes to g3, that's a little bit more passive than, you know, keeping these bishops eyeing these sensitive squares around the black king. So look at this, all it needs now is a little bit more pressure from a rook coming in potentially. And actually I was wrong earlier when I said rook e1 to e3. It's going to be rook d1 to d3 soon. In fact now, after queen c7, rook d3. So the troops have all been lined up. White's knights are kind of nice. The one on c3 is now protected by that rook, so black's not winning any pawns straight away. After b6 we now see rook g3. So a lot of tactical pressure here. Immediate threat, bishop takes h6. Black plays king h8. And white now plays rook e1. A little bit of a cunning idea here, which you know, is prepared for a casual move from black to actually pounce on it. And black did play a casual move, bishop b7, keeping up the theoretical blockade on d5. But now, can you see how black's just blown away here? There's a horrible couple of knight moves now. Maybe it's not completely forced, but actually Rybka's crying out for it now as well. So actually I think black's already lost here. It's a lost position. The first move, I wonder if you can spot it. I'll give you 5 seconds, starting from now. Well, the first move is actually knight b5. If you gave bishop takes h6, that's also a very good move. But I'm not going to go into that. Maybe, okay, maybe quickly. Bishop takes h6 is also good. Because let's have a look. If G takes, then knight b5, and where does the queen go? If it goes to e7, okay, we get the same pattern as in the game. Okay, which is knight d6 now. So let's actually just go to the main idea, which Gary actually played, which is actually theoretically strongest. Knight b5 straight away, and after this queen e7, unfortunately I've just given it away, but there's the move knight d6 now. Have a look at this. So what is black doing here? If queen takes d6, knight takes f7, forking king and queen. So this looks pretty dire on f7. How is black defending f7? So that's why, black's position, I think, here is gone. It's just completely gone. And, all white's pieces are really optimally placed just against black's king. And all this was made available from just accepting an isolated queen pawn. So it's quite a vivid demonstration, this game, of, a disaster which can occur. Black ended up playing a very desperate looking move, g5. All other moves they seem to lose as well. I mean, queen takes e6 as we've seen. If king g8, this is pretty horrible to lose the f7 pawn. In theory, apparently, taking with the d knight is stronger. So d takes f7, and how is black, stopping all these threats like knight takes h6, king moves, knight g6, winning the black queen. So this is really horrible. What black actually played was g5. And Gary just played knight d takes f7 after king g8, just h4. Again, just softening up black's king side even more. I mean, it's already approaching butter level. But so queen b4, h takes g5, h takes g5, rook takes g5, check, bishop g7. Now Gary finished off with knight h6, and the opponent allowed a pretty mate after king h8 with knight ef7, checkmate. So the king has no escape square, because that one's handled by the bishop, this one by the knight. So a bit of a crushing game. Let's have a quick look at that game again. So white was accepting the isolated queen pawn, but gains a lot of great squares for the attacking pieces and to line up the troops, in his own words. By the way, here, if knight takes d4, let's briefly mention this. Knight takes d4, there's check. So the knight goes back to c6. And now here, knight e5 or bishop b5 would give white a strong initiative, according to Ribka. So white didn't want to take that. Sorry, black didn't want to take, he just castled. And we have this situation, just simply rearranging pieces to be very attacking. Seems to be a very lovely, coherent game, with everything getting involved in the attack. And now this pouncing with knight b5 to d6 is really just crushing. It's the final straw which breaks the camel's back here. So Gary just dismantling completely black's kingside, leading to a checkmate. I hope you enjoyed that game. Please leave any comments on YouTube. Thanks very much.